I thought it was going to be a quiet week and I'd get a fair bit done, but it looks like an interesting job has just arrived. Looks like jigsaw puzzle time. Well, this is an interesting selection. It looks like the mortal remains of two Retina IIIc cameras, unless I missed my guess. One of them is partly assembled or partly disassembled, who would know? And everything is carefully labelled, part numbers and everything. Well, I'll have to go back and check my emails and see exactly what I was expected to achieve with this lot. I have in mind that the idea was to assemble one good camera, but perhaps two good cameras are wanted. Well, it's certainly going to be an entertaining one. I'm not used to finding my jigsaw puzzle pieces so carefully labelled. Some of these parts are in good order, some of them less so. Well, we'll wait and see, I suppose. I'll have to sort these out, read my emails, decide what I'm doing, and see if I can make a good camera here. At least one. At least one nice camera, possibly two. Well, I studied my emails. I think I've made some sense of it. The owner started with one camera. It was his grandfather's camera, and following my instructions he had a go at repairing it, and things didn't go well. And he'd broken a screw. So he purchased another one to use as a part source and started assembling one good camera, presumably this one, but something went wrong with when he got to the film advance stage, and it was making a cracking noise, I'm told. This looks a little bit battered, and the screws, there's incorrect screws in places and the heads are somewhat chopped about. Let's see if the film advance moves. It appears to be sitting in the rest position. I'll put an advance lever on there and we'll see what happens. Well, we'll start here, I think. There's no likelihood at all that I'm going to leave the camera assembled as far as it is before I start servicing it, but we'll, for the sake of it, just out of interest, we'll see what happens if I put a film advance lever on here, and we'll find out what the mysterious cracking noises was. And perhaps we'll discover something interesting. Two screws in there will certainly hold that. Let's just pop that lot over to one side. Now, all going well, I would press the release button, hold down the lock button, go to swing the advance lever. It advances and returns to the rest position. Let's try that again. It's working. it lacks tension. There's not enough tension on the film advance to return the film advance lever, but everything appears to function. It's a bit stiff, but it works. So that's a bit of a mystery. I haven't got any cracking noises. Well, at this stage I think I better pull this to pieces. So what I intend to do is entirely strip this camera, sort through all the contents of my plastic bags and all the pieces I would normally put through the ultrasonic cleaner. I'll put them through the ultrasonic cleaner. And when I get all my pieces back, I should have, so that's an incorrect screw there for a start. Those two are swapped over. I should have sufficient parts to make one good camera, and depending on the state of the pieces of the parts camera that was purchased, I may have enough good pieces for two cameras. The state of these fasteners is not good. The shutter cocking rack. Oh, this. Okay. Well, I think I can see where the cracking sounds came from. The lower end of this rack is very badly damaged at this end. Those teeth are quite chewed up. The teeth at the top here are also distorted, but the teeth at the bottom are certainly, I think, beyond salvaging. Though there are tricks. I thought I was going to have an easy job here. I was looking forward to a straightforward repair. Take that spring off and I'll put that in a container over here. I don't normally put springs through the cleaning process because they're too easily damaged and too easily lost. Let's take that clip off there. Put that spring to one side. Take out the shutter release shaft. Okay. These assemblies are interesting. Some of these shutter release shafts, depending on, you know, the precise production, some of them are all one piece. Some of them are two pieces. They have a piece like that on them. And some of them have a tiny spacing washer in there in order to adjust the length of the effective stroke. So I've got to be careful not to lose that tiny washer. I'll pop that with my springs because that could be very useful. That screw there, it's hard to say. I mean, unfortunately a lot of these screws look like they were undone with a pocket knife. They are not very good looking. That was just stuck down with grease. There's no particular problem there. It's probably clean, fresh grease anyway, but it things suck down hard. Right, get that down, take out the lock lever, take out the release lever. Now the spring on the end of the release lever, I want to recover that. Now this one's already somewhat mutilated. I want to save that if at all possible. I don't have a lot of spares, and that one doesn't look pretty, but it might well be reliable for future use. Right, so the screws here, what have we got? Yes, that was the correct screw for the job. Of course I might be fooling myself here because this part might not have been taken off the camera anyway. I'll take the door off the front. I can see that my video camera is suggesting that its battery's flat, which means that it may suddenly cease to function while I'm busy working. That little spacer washer will put to one side. There's the spring from the shutter release, I'll put that to one side. That was busy trying to do the usual trick of getting tucked in behind the bellows. Let's get the rewind button off. Fortunately that's not tight. Unfortunately it's pretty ugly. Whatever tool was chosen to get that loose was probably suboptimal, I think that's the term. That screw head, it screws loose and not as pretty as I would like it to be. The fact that these screw heads are somewhat somewhat mutilated will have no bearing on how the camera works, and most of them of course are internal components, entirely hidden, nobody will ever see them. So there's no pressing need to replace a lot of them. Let's get the 3 screws out here from the Film Advance shaft. And I can tell that this was a repair project because the grease is all nice and clean. And the camera's not full of sand and grit. Now that screw head certainly is unhappy looking. Let's take that out of there. The clutch assembly. How did they get on with the clutch assembly? Yeah, looks okay. Take out that, take out the sprocket at the front. Okay, so we've got a screw at the top that moves the rangefinder. Two on the front here hold this plate to the inner helical. They're loose and they are somewhat damaged looking. Let's get this out. It looks fine. Here we go. Now I've seen that there are alignment marks here. They've been made in the same fashion I would make alignment marks. Probably not as heavily not scratched in as deep as I would normally do it. So let me have a go at scratching a couple in with my scalpel. Two there and one there. Given that I'm assembling one camera out of 2, probably, this is just a starting position for the focus because I may have to adjust the focus. The 4 screws that hold the bellows to the back of the front standard, the black ones. Let's have them out. This is the quick bit. There'll be more time involved in opening all of those little plastic packets and finding out what their contents are. I did see pieces from the Rangefinder all loose in a bag, which is a bit disconcerting because a lot of those surfaces are quite delicate. You wouldn't normally have them rolling around loose in a plastic bag together. Okay. Cover these screws. Let's take this apart. We've got a screw in there still. No, it's just stuck down with grease. Okay. Yeah, all of that's fresh grease. That's not a problem. Right, this piece. That screw came from the bottom of the camera. You can tell because it's got the remains of glue and stuff on it. It's also the wrong size for this particular job. It would have originally held this plate on. These are also the incorrect screws. Okay, so that's out. That's out. That's the transfer shaft, you could say, that transfers the action from the cocking rack through to the front of the shutter. The rack, in this case, that washer there. Let's put that to one side so I don't lose it. It probably came from the door. Right, there's my body casting. That's not bad. I'll clean that for the sake of cleaning it. It's generally not in too bad an order. Could do with a bit of extra cleaning. Right, pieces for the ultrasonic cleaner. What have we got here? Let's get all of this stuff that's going in sorted out. That cocking rack for a start. All of this stuff. The only pieces that I don't put through the ultrasonic cleaner is anything that's got paint on it, because the paint will disappear. Some aluminium pieces like this I don't usually put through, or the sprocket shaft, because by the time they've gone through the ammonia based household detergent in the ultrasonic cleaner, they'll look dull. It'll just take the shine off them, so I don't do that. Alright, so get all of these pieces together in a heap. And I won't bore you with the process of opening up all of these bags and sorting the pieces out from them. I thought this was wet, but it's actually some black gloss paint someone's put in there. Oh well, I'll carry on. This is a box of parts that normally I would clean by hand, and so that's what I'll do. Oh, a long blonde hair, certainly not mine. This is a box of parts to go into the ultrasonic cleaner. It's the makings of 2 cameras. I've separated all the springs and small washers so I don't lose them. I have this bag with a complete rangefinder, a complete meter, a meter in pieces, a shutter that looks fairly complete, a shutter that doesn't look fairly complete, a rangefinder in tiny little pieces, and 2 top covers. And of course I've got 2 bodies. So, pieces off to the ultrasonic cleaner first, I think. That's I'm going to have to put a lot of solvent in the tin. I'm not normally doing 2 cameras at once. Oh, and I've got this, a mystery piece. It looks like black aluminium casting. It may well have come off one of these, but I haven't inspected them closely yet. But it's come from something, and it's not a good sign.